Welcome back, everybody. We're going to talk about Diana now. I'm really new to making these videos, so we're going to try a different format with this one. Rather than the shorts that really crops the screen and limits to 3 minutes or less, I'm going to do this one as just a short YouTube video. You guys tell me what you prefer to see, what is easier to watch, and what is more fun for you to watch. So with Diana, either in Light Witches for raiding or in Witchy Druids, if you choose to use her there, her leadership ability isn't going to be relevant, so we're not going to really talk too much about that. Her passive ability, this is super important. It's going to do a couple of things. One of those things is it's going to redirect a whole bunch of the damage from her allies to herself. It's then going to reduce that damage before she takes that damage. Now, also remember that Leora, as a leader, is going to reduce damage to shields. So then it's going to be further reduced by Leora. So this damage that then is moved around and then lowered again is really going to be minimalized by the combination of different things from this team. Now, other important aspects of this, if an enemy crits, so let's say somebody attacks Bright and they crit, they're going to get Mockery, so they have to attack Diana. Now, if they cast an AoE after they have Mockery, that is then going to reduce the cooldowns of one of Diana's abilities. So this really kind of like works together on a few different levels here within this team. Now we're going to talk about Fury Orb, her third ability. A lot of times in the past, in older teams, sometimes you would cast her second before this one to get damage reflection up. But this ability now where you get a little bit of a head start because of the sleep cast by Leora, so you can really focus on casting this one earlier or later. You can really pick and choose which is going to work best for you. Now what this is going to do is it's going to create really big shields for everybody on the team. It's going to then reduce damage taken by Diana for 6 times. Now that number, and any number, when we talk about these buffs, can be increased by Bright's second ability. But this is going to give her a few more turns of increased damage reduction. So not only is the damage being redirected and then lowered again by Leora, it can also then be lowered again by this buff. And also damage accumulation from Nimue can also further even reduce that damage. So she really has come into her own with this new set of witches around her to support her and cheer her on and like just give her all of these extra little boosts. But let's talk really about what Fury Orb does. It's going to create 6 stacks of damage reduction. It's going to cast Mockery on all of the enemies, and it's going to create big shields for all of her allies. Now, Guarding Orb. This one is super important if you're using her, and it's really great. This is one of the best parts of this kit because what it's going to do is it's going to remove certain debuffs from your team: vulnerability, Mockery, dodge decrease. Not going to remove everything, but those few there, it's going to give your team more freedom to kind of attack who they want and to be able to dodge and do support attacks. It's also going to, when it's awakened, cast 7 stacks of charged shields. So what that does is anytime you're attacked, it's going to reflect damage back and also create a bunch of damage hurting the enemy. And this is super fun to play with. Before I switched to the full attack version of the Witchy Druids, I was really building into this. If this is really what you're building into is a lot of this reflect damage, this is where HP building on medallions comes really in handy, because the more HP you have, the bigger your shields are. The bigger your shields are, the more times you can reflect damage. So that's really kind of what's important here to know about that ability. Now her basic is really kind of interesting. It does a lot of things where we've seen a lot of slowdown in the rest of the witches kits. Nimue can cast some slow effects, and what this does, that turns slow effects into skip turn effects, which is really kind of cool, which then Leora can do even more damage with her 4th ability. So it does that. It also turns decreased healing into healing block. It does a lot of fun little things, but nothing too nothing really strong. Um, but it does kind of like upgrade certain buffs or debuffs that the enemy can have into worse debuffs for them. So when we look at her, I currently have a mace on her. What weapon she has isn't extremely important. I would maybe think that the chitinous hammer might be just a little bit better because then she can cast that basic a couple of times. But she's not doing tons of damage in that way, and she's so none of the other ones are super important or are going to create a lot of benefit. I think the most benefit is either going to be from support attacks where she's hitting more often, just getting a little bit of chip damage out, or from the chitinous hammer where she can then just have more of a chance of converting buffs into or debuffs into worse debuffs. Now I have her in the carapace shoulder plates or carapace spalders because from my understanding that reflected damage counts as AoE damage, so this is going to help her take less of that damage. And then on her medallion, I went full hit points because, as I talked about earlier, bigger HP means bigger shields, which means more damage reflection. When we're talking about her in the context of rating, she's become really, really good. Prior to the new witches, she really died so fast and so frequently. But on top of all of the new damage reduction that we have talked about, there's also a really fun thing that we'll talk about more with Bright, where the shield, when a shield falls off, they gain a stack of immortality, which means when they hit 0 health, they're instead going to heal for a big chunk, which makes her even more survivable. So Diana really has seen a resurgence from this and has become a lot better with the new squad. So whether you're using her in raids or with witchy druids, that is Diana.